What a great, that is, thank you, Brother Abdullah, appreciate that. So, part of the story of Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi wasallam is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him as a mercy to mankind. One of the best characteristics was how he was able to forgive others. So a lot of us have been deceived. Many of us have been betrayed. For many of us, we're able to forgive, but it's difficult for us to forget the people that did us harm, that did our families harm. What can you tell us about how Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi wasallam handled those situations and how he advised us to deal with forgiveness and forgetting the things that people did to us?
A common theme that we find in a lot of those questions, Hakeem, is how do we deal with our emotions from a religious but also a personal perspective? Let's take a look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ. When he lived in Mecca, who were the people that were tarnishing and persecuting him? It was his own family members. It was his own people, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he goes to the people of Ta'if and they throw him with pebbles and he's bleeding. The Prophet ﷺ knows what it means for you to be hurt from those that are closest to you. But let me give you a short story. Hamza radiallahu anhu ardah. We all know he was killed in the Battle of Uhud. And he wasn't only killed, he was slaughtered. Habashi, the person that killed him, he ripped him up so much and he even took a bite out of one of his organs. That was how vicious he killed Hamza, who was one of the most beloved people to the Prophet ﷺ. So one day, Habashi, he comes to accept Islam. So one day, he's praying behind the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, he can't even turn around. He tells the companions, take Habashi and put him in the back, take him out of my sight. I forgive, but I can't forget. Your duty, right? Your duty as a human being and as a Muslim is to forgive. That's your job. Your job is not to forget, because part of the character that Allah created us in is we have a memory. Now, our job is for us to, number one, seek refuge in Allah, knowing that those that hurt us, our reward would be with Allah, and whatever we do for them may not, number one, be the best solution, but also, number two, that Allah and His dealings and His consequences are going to be a lot more just and are going to be worthy. So seek refuge in Allah. The second is, how do we embody this seed of mercy in our hearts, where we know that we have an Allah that is going to take our justice back. When you know that there's an Allah that's going to take your justice back, now you're able to put everyone that has hurt you aside and be like, okay, I'm going to be able to forgive. But again, it's not my duty to forget. You're going to be a human being at the end of the day. Look at the Prophet ﷺ. He forgave, but he didn't forget. So if you're not forgetting, don't kill yourself about it. It's part of your human tendency. But try your best to be like the Prophet ﷺ in the seed of mercy and forgiveness. Because that is, like we were talking, that is the character of Islam. The character of Islam is for you to forgive, for you to understand that we all have our shortcomings, that we are all sinners in some way, and for us to have that firm belief and refuge that whatever justice Allah has in store is going to be the ultimate justice.
MashaAllah. So my takeaway from that is to forgive, not to let the animosity burn you from inside, because that is the equivalent of a hot coal that can tarnish your heart, right, and your intentions. Rather, if there's a behavioral pattern and somebody is continuously doing harm to you, to create boundaries in that relationship, to limit maybe your interactions. It's okay to forgive, but not to forget how they portrayed you.